yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages, but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing. I'm absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, a consistent critic of spending bills, calling out his own party yesterday. His rant highlights this self-made crisis for the Republican Party. Get ready. They had a bipartisan bill that would have passed this week, but then Donald Trump and Elon Musk killed it. Then yesterday, they hastily put together a Trump-backed package only for it to be rejected by dozens of Republicans and almost all Democrats who were not going to give in to Trump or Musk's demands. To top things off, Elon Musk may get rewarded for all of this, as some Republicans are now floating him as the next Speaker of the House. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It's Friday, December 20th. I'm Jonathan Lemire in for Joe, Mika, and Willie. With us, we have a great group. Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and associate editor of The Washington Post, Eugene Robinson. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent, Ali Vitale. Co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim Vandehei. Co-host of The Weekend on MSNBC, Simone Sanders-Townsend. And editor of The New Republic, Michael Tomasky. It has been a dizzying stretch here. Let's dive right in and try to sort it out. With less than 24 hours to go, Congress still has no path forward to fund the government. Capitol Hill in complete chaos yesterday after President-elect Trump and Elon Musk, his billionaire buddy, torched the bipartisan agreement to fund the government through March. Congressional leadership and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance spent the day working on new legislation that would appease Trump and the already very small Republican majority. After hours of negotiations, the group managed to come out with a bill that had Trump's seal of support, a dramatically smaller bill. However, it did not have the full backing of the Republican conference. The alternate package failed 174 to 235, falling far short of the two-thirds majority needed to pass. Moments after the bill failed on the floor, Republicans tried to blame Democrats for tanking the legislation, but Democrats, for their part, say the GOP backtracked on their deal and they felt no need to bail them out.
The Democrats just voted to shut down the government, even though we had a clean CR, because they didn't want to give the president negotiating leverage during his first term, or during the first year of his new term. And number two, because they would rather shut down the government and fight for global censorship bullshit. They've asked for a shutdown, and I think that's exactly what they're going to get.
38 Republicans vote against it as well.
I want you all to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold the debt limit, the debt ceiling hostage. What changed? It is, I think, really irresponsible for us to risk a shutdown over these issues on things that they have already agreed upon. I think you need to be asking them the questions about that.
House Republicans have abandoned that bipartisan agreement that we entered into in good faith. A bill that House Republicans negotiated gave us your word that we were going to move forward together on behalf of the American people. It was a Republican drafted bill that was posted by House Republicans. And then one or two puppet masters weigh in, and the extreme MAGA Republicans decide to do the bidding of the wealthy, the well-off, the well-connected, millionaires and billionaires, not working-class people.
There is so much to sift through here in terms of the politics, the impact on the incoming Trump administration. But let's start, Ali Vitale, with the basics. What's the latest you're reporting? Is the government going to shut down tonight?
It seems likely at this point, especially because the Speaker and other top Republicans aren't sure what Plan C looks like. We watched Speaker Johnson, Leader Scalise, and other top members leaving the building last night, even questioning if they're going to end up having a vote on anything today. It's bad news when you're hours to go until a government shutdown deadline and you don't know if you're going to have a vote because you don't know what you would vote on. And even if they did have a vote, they don't know that it could pass because all the different iterations of, okay, is it going to be just a clean continuing resolution? Is it going to be that plus just disaster relief? You've also got to throw a farm bill extension in there at some point. Otherwise, you're going to run into a lot of various problems in grocery store aisles across the country. There's different permutations of this, but there still remains the same opposition from the same core group of folks in the conservative ranks of the House Republican Conference who don't vote for continuing resolutions anyway. It's why they're negotiated in bipartisan fashion to begin with, because you always need Democrats in this iteration of the Republican Party to keep the lights on with the government, because there's always going to be staunch opposition from the same Republicans within the party who don't want to vote for it. Then Trump comes in and further complicates it by adding a debt ceiling negotiation to this mix, which I know to a casual viewer might seem like it's all part and parcel with a government funding negotiation, but we're talking about two very different fiscal negotiations happening right now, and you can't just negotiate away the debt ceiling on a 24-hour deadline. And so that's certainly something that they're running into as well, because now Trump has told them you have to keep that in the mix, and if you don't, you're going to have me and Elon Musk saying we're going to primary you. So they're creating guardrails to a system that is already very difficult, and that makes the job for Speaker Johnson even harder. I also think the Democratic posture here is going to be instructive because there's very much a vibe of you break it, you buy it, and that's why Democrats are setting the tone here, too, that they are not just going to be led down a path of negotiation in bipartisan fashion, see it fall apart after good faith negotiations, and then just say, OK, we'll vote for whatever you want. So they're doing their own tone setting here, too. And I have to say there is a very subtle troll that's happening, which is Hakeem Jeffries is issuing all of his statements about this, not on the social media platform that Elon Musk owns, but on Blue Sky, which has emerged since the election as the alternative. So we're watching a little bit of trolling in real time, too.
So, Simone, let's talk about how the Democrats are handling this. And let's state up front, they agreed to the initial deal. It's the Republicans who walked away, not the Democrats, despite what the GOP trying to play the blame game there. But to give us your analysis here, because there's a lot of trolling about President-elect Musk and the like, but they also chose not to bail out Republicans. They walked away from this replacement deal. Do you think, on both fronts, are they handling it right?
Well, look, past this prologue here, and I think that this 118th Congress that we are at the tail end of, Democrats have bailed out Republicans. Every single time there has been a continuing resolution or something had to get done for the government, something had to get done in terms of funding, Democrats did come over across the aisle and do what needed to be done to keep the government functioning. You saw in the election that they weren't necessarily rewarded for that work. And so did the American people, were they aware of what Democrats were doing on that regard? Did they know? Maybe did they know and not care? We have to ask the voters. But the reality here is that Democrats cannot take the same posture that they have taken previously as it relates to Speaker Johnson and think that the voters will just recognize what they're doing or even punish Republicans for not doing their jobs. So in this regard, I think that the posture that the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, is taking is, in fact, the right one. I do think that Democrats need to step back just a notch and not be too gleeful, if you will. And some folks are sounding a little gleeful here, and the Republicans don't know what they're doing, and it's a mess, and we're just waiting and posting their popcorn memes. Because the reality here is that if the government shuts down, whether it's for 24 hours or through January 20th, like Elon Musk has he tweeted on his social media platform that that's what he thinks should happen. Real people are affected by this. Social security checks, yes, are going to continue to flow, but workers are not going to get paid. Okay? They're not going to get paid. We are just days away from Christmas. Folks are going to have to make real-time decisions, government workers across the country, about how they're going to survive over the holidays because Congress, i.e. Republicans in Congress, are taking their orders from Elon Musk on the social media site. So I just really think watching here for what Donald Trump is going to say. He usually tweets through or posts on his True Social site through everything else. And I'm seeing Elon Musk tweeting, and I'm looking for what the president-elect is saying. So I don't know if the blind is leading the blind, who is leading who, but Democrats they have to continue to take their posture that they are going to do what's best for the people, but they are not going to do the